It's time to celebrate. More new all-time highs, y'all. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. Wow, today was tough. Felt like it's been Saturday for about 5 days. So interesting stuff happened in the market today. I do want to note it was some of the lowest volume in years. We didn't close above 19 million shares traded in its buy. The 2-year low record was 27 million. That was Thanksgiving Friday, 2023. So nothing really happened today, but we'll look at what happened. It was a little bit of Taiwan action, biotech and semis, and around commodities in Hong Kong. Hope everyone had a good 4th. Was out a lot. Got some sun. This heat wave now is with us for 2 weeks. Unfortunately, it's going to be bananas. Just bringing my kid home from school after. He's going to get cabin fever in July. So that's never good. But in the meantime, let us share the screen here, and I'll show you what's going on today. What else? Yeah, I hope everyone saw some fireworks, had some junk food. Tough to move around today. All right, so today, Taiwan, biotech, and semiconductors rallied, while commodities and Hong Kong fell. New all-time highs posted for SPY, Qs, Tech, India, and the Mag 7. I included this Mag 7 because it's starting to come up a little bit. I'm seeing it in my personal feeds. Obviously, it's nothing new. It's the Mag 7. It's where a lot of concentration is, but I'm going to start looking at it a little bit more. It made a new 52-week high today. All right, so let's take a look. Yeah, so Taiwan, new 52-week high today, up 1.3%. Some of this was Taiwan semiconductors, of course. Biotech's also jumped up about 1.7%, and semiconductors up 1.9%. We'll take a look at all of this, and then you had a down move in commodities, down 1.3. Gold was a lot of that, which is down 1.3 on its own. Hong Kong moved down about 1.5%, and then they sold off tech software a bit. Like I said, the Mag 7 making new 52-week highs because they're getting Tesla participation. Apple hit a new all-time high. Come on. Once you get that kind of participation, everyone has that in mutual fund and ETFs. Things can easily drift higher. We'll take a look at the SPY chart. Best 3 absolute trades of the week for going back 5 days. Short Bitcoin, specifically through Bito, short nat gas, and long these Mag 7. Let's take a look. Let's see if there's any opportunities to dizzle. That's me again. Let me boopity bop. Bang. All right, so this intraday chart of the SPY, we actually peaked and climaxed early. Kind of sounds dirty. At 9:30 a.m., literally 556 quarter. That is your new all-time high. And then what happened? We drifted lower throughout the day. Actually put in a low around 12:30. I'm sorry, actually 2:30 was the low there at 554. But had a nice kind of a strong rally on a very low volume day here at 3:30 and closed above VWAP, which is 555.18 to close at 555.32 within a rock throw at new all-time highs. Could do it at any time. As we zoom out here, so my call, or not call, basically what I just saw things, I said we were going to have a slightly bearish regime before going longer through a bullish regime on or around July 5th, rather. So now, with just a little bit more, getting a little bit sharper on that, I basically updated that to July 2nd. And things last, typically the way I do look at the time frames here is about 15 days. So I see us basically bullish, turning upwards through the 17th of July. The only thing is it did a lot of moves in the past 3 days. So whenever it does something like this, where we go from 545 to 544 to 555, $11 in 3 days, things sometimes have to come back to earth. My target's 555 for this bullishness for the next 10 or so days, 9 actually. But so right around here, and we're at target. I do that with the upper band. You see it here at 556. Even if you give that a little bit more expansion, 557, 558, but not much more from where we are here. And then truly, in terms of a sell-off, I see into the first week of August, a sell-off that probably doesn't get you much lower than, it sounds crazy, 545 around here, because this is going to go higher. The momentum of this line, unless you get that sharp sell-off. So more bullishness here. Never short a dull market, no matter what's happening with presidency and all that stuff. New all-time highs were put in today. We are overbought with a very rich 75 RSI. So like I said, imagine things to cool off. 545, a mean reversion, of 10 points or 2% lower. It's not going to feel painful. This is, pretty frothy. I'll say it right here. So like I said, overall trajectory higher, but we're at target, today. So it may sound complicated, but if you track the markets, religiously like I do, it makes sense. Okay, so let's take a look at what happened today and why we're talking about these charts. All right, so EWT Taiwan, a big move today. Let's see if there's any opportunity. So a big move today, why we're talking about, it's up 1.4% to new 52-week highs. So very similar to the S&P, and I'm guessing this is what a lot of the charts are going to look like. This is frothy here. My target on this was 55 even, so I definitely don't want to chase here, although it has momentum. It's overbought here. It was overbought here. Superstar profile minus this kind of scare it had in beginning of the year, January. This didn't look 42 to 44 handle. Always scary when you're trading below your 200-day moving average. Now it looks like that's definitely seeming like support. It hasn't technically traded there since May 1st. Yeah, this looks good, but I'm not going to buy this here. I would need to monitor this over the next 2 to 4 weeks and try and get an entry around 53.5 to 54. So I'm not going to chase it here. But 52-week highs is obviously upward momentum. Green skies ahead. I'll wait for a better chance. XBI, Biotech, a big move up here, 1.7%. You hear people talk about broadening. This has not been a hot space, when people acknowledging higher for longer. Now you're seeing some broadening there. You can, allocate and attribute EWT's run, for example, today for, Taiwan Semi and Tech. Biotech's a little bit different, in terms of the rate story. So here's the chart. It hasn't done a ton since it put in its high back in February. You do have a rising 200-day moving average. Nice support there at 85. Yeah, this is, had a nice ascent, kind of like high basing, but not doing a ton. Monster resistance here at 95. Hasn't been able to do it since March. Don't love that. I think it maybe wants to go higher due to the exuberance of the overall market. I think it maybe tries to make a run. 95 is really hard. If you get a vol expansion, it can stretch past that, but I would say 95 potentially gets to 97. I do see it potentially getting past 95. It would need quite a bit of oomph, though. It would be a tough one. I'm not chasing here, but interesting move today if it goes significantly higher. Semiconductors, specifically through the stocks, SMH ran today too. As long as you get this, you're going to get new all-time highs in the broader market. It's as simple as that. Didn't exactly get a new all-time high. Very close, though, just $1 away. Big move, though, up 1.9%. This looks like it's going higher. I think it's going to do higher than it's going to go above its previous June 18th high. I think it actually gets to 262, potentially 263, right around here. That will be emblematic of obviously higher highs in the Qs and in the XLK and new all-time highs in SPY. So it's just, pretty derivative. Look at the slope of this rising 200-day moving average. It's just extraordinary. Wow. All right. So those was what moved up today. So let's look at the bad. PDBC, commodities got hit today. A lot because of gold, but a lot of them were down. Silver was down too. So let's take a look at this one. So this looks like it's going to be in sell-off mode. I think it might rest here a little bit around 1410. You see a confluence here of a lot of moving averages and Fibonacci retracements. It might rest right around here after having a big slide down 1.25%, or it might have a bit of a steeper decline to about 1375, somewhere around thereabouts. So 1375 from here is what, 45 cents. Could be, that could be a big move lower in the commodities. EWH, Hong Kong, they sold off pretty aggressively today. Down 1.6%. Let's see. Oof, ugly chart. Definitely looks like it's moving lower. Had a little bit of a disruption, kind of a false breakout, if you will, from May 3rd to June 10th. It was 5 weeks in flux. It tried to do it. It looked strong there, and it peaked in the middle and gave it all back. So pretty interesting symmetry to this. It put in its 52-week low April 17th. It is just very close to that here. It's 1464. It's 30 cents away, or about 2%. I don't think it does it right here. Pretty significant move lower to that. I think this tries to get a mean reversion bump to 15.5, though. I think it doesn't want to stay here, but we'll see. Definitely looking weak. All right, we're going to go SGOL. This is a gold ETF. It got rocked today. 1.3% is pretty hard for gold. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think this hit its head. Obviously, this has a different level for all the different ETFs. So the gold high was May 20th. That's when this thing was all the rage. Still nice, rising 200-day moving average. It's been, for me, a little range bound since the breakout April 5th. And now it's basically been sitting there. Now what? I think it hit its head right at that 23 level. I think this is just the ceiling, unfortunately. And then I think it's going to want to hang around 22 for a bit. So, like I said, like just what we saw on the PDBC could be a little bit lower in some of the commodities. That's exactly what I'm seeing from this. Probably just a little bit lower, I would say maybe 2% or so, and then it rests there before resuming a small rally higher. And then IGV, always important. So this one got hit today. I think I saw Service Now. I forgot the specific stocks. Some of them were down pretty good today. So that explains this 1% fall. That's a multiple sigma, like a 1.1 standard deviation move for it. This is super frothy. Okay, we were talking about this in the chart last week, I believe. So this has no business here. It's inside the band. I'm looking at a different chart from a different data provider that has different bands due to time frame as well. This is frothy. This should be coming down to 87, between 85 to 87. All right, so I'll put the candle over here, 87. Yeah, so that's another dollar to come off. So today you lost 1% or 85 cents. I would give us about the next 2 weeks or so to get to around 85. So you're actually going to, ironically, kind of strange to see a little softness in software tech and then rallies in other areas. Okay, so top 5 gainers of the past 5 days, no repeats. I said I want to focus more on this MAGS. So new 52-week high. Everyone is long this, of course, in some way or another. The S&P is resembling this more and more. This ETF was actually created right around, right before Thanksgiving. So that's why the chart looks a little nasty. Yeah, I have the formation of this ETF here. So don't pay attention to that 52-week low. So this is basically where it started. You can see the volume here. And then it really started trading. And I guess this is why it's in my focus here, is that this has actually had a pretty significant, I'd say, new trading base as of June 4th or so. It's getting at least 500,000 shares per day, kind of like a breakout. People are trading this more. I think that's why I'm actually seeing it now in my provider, and it's just been a straight line, 43 to 48. I think this is an easy way. Maybe people are doing also a kind of dispersion trade in a way of you could be buying Tesla with its huge rally and then selling the MAGs, so on and so forth. So anyway, this looks a little bit frothy, I will say. So similar to the IGV, I would say this has to come down to about, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I see this moving to 45 to 47. Yep. So, say 46 mid, and it's trading 49 today, call it. So that's 3 points. Yeah, it'll be like a pretty hardy move. I've been saying Tesla has to move lower for a little bit for a while here. It seems frothy, but momentum is one way for that right now. So MAGS, the best trade of the past 5 days, the best long, up 8% over the past 5 days. Extraordinary, new 52-week high today. GDX is the next one, up 5.8. So they're loving the gold miners. Let me see what's going on with this. So this is up 6% over the past week. Yeah, so I think this is interesting. So I think it hit its head. I think that it's completed its nice move here from 33 to 36. Come on, 10%. What do you want? Low to high there. I think this is going to be in distribution mode, though. I think there's going to be other more attractive investments for folks. And this makes sense, like we were saying, that commodities come off a little bit, specifically the metals. Bang, bang. This is correlated, obviously. I think this has a move to 34 in the cards over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And it's just an interesting candle. I don't mean it can't go up again for another day or so, although it did go down in a pretty bullish market. But commodities did move lower today. Still a nice rising 200-day, although getting a little bit flash, but still has some slope to it. Yeah, I think these consolidate over the next 2 weeks or so. It's funny when you have those signals. Here's another one, silver. I'm guessing I'm going to say the exact same thing. Let me see. Have not looked at the chart, but silver is the third best long in the market today, down pretty good, down 1.2%. This one interesting, actually. This one just goes to more speculative metal. I think this tries to make actually one more splash towards 29 over the next week or so. This looks like it's not as tired as the others. So that could be a trade too. Buy silver, sell gold. And you could obviously, of course, do a ratio with how they're priced. But it's not a bad trade idea, actually. If you're going to play metal, stay away from, larger equity beta. Interesting. But yeah, but move to 29 for this is not a huge move. It's 80 cents, but silvers can move. Okay. SMH is the next one on this list. It's the fourth biggest mover from the long side over the past week, up 5%. We just looked at the SOX chart. I'll do SMH because technically it's a different ticker, but it really is the same exact thing almost. So yeah, this is going to be, the only thing is my target for this is right around 279, 280. So that would be above this. 280 is actually right around here. Us getting to over the next 2 or so weeks in semis, and that's obviously going to be bullish for Qs, SPY, XLK. All right, and then RK is the 5th biggest gainer in the market, up 4.5% over the past week. Today it was flat. Let's see what's going on in this. Is it a turnaround? Yeah, so this is coming across resistance here. Significant resistance. I have at 46.5 marked. 46.5 is the level I have. Oof, that is totally a significant level. It has not actually been able to do that since April. I think this is the end, similar to what I saw in the other chart. I think this is going to complete this run from 43 to just about 46, a little less than 10%. And I think you're going to see a little bit mean reversion for this towards 44.30. And the big line in the sand for this one is the 200-day at 45.30. It's holding it now. Be interesting to see. I think it's going to give up that buck. I think it's going to trade towards 44.30. Interesting little tug of a rope there. All right, top 5 losers of the past 5 days. Got to look at this. Bito, man, is the worst. It's the biggest short in terms of best winning short of the past. Something just happened on my screen. Apologies. Okay, so Bito is the best short of the past 5 days, down 12.5%. That is your best absolute trade in the past 5 days, 12.5%. Nothing beats that. Nat gas is second. We'll look at that in a second. But it's always so nice when my air conditioner takes a break and I don't have to shout anymore. So this is almost similar to me to what I was saying with the Mexico chart. So this still has a rising 200-day moving average. So I think you're seeing some folks saying, buy Bitcoin here. The story's not over. You kind of got to forgive. Similar to other charts where we had 1 month blip above and it's fake, it's just noise. So Bitcoin, even though, yes, it did have its highs in March, specifically for this Bito ETF, which trades front month futures, it still has a rising 200-day moving average. Don't want to ignore that. This could honestly be below this. When did it first close below it? Here it bounced above. So honestly, June 28th is when it first closed below it. This could technically be below this till July 28th and start to bounce above it again, where this starts to flatten at 22.87. And then it starts to make a move against there, above there, and the trend technically never broke. So, it was just kind of a spoof, kind of like what we saw with the Hong Kong. That wasn't a new trend. It was just kind of faking it for a month, and then it resumed its true trend. That's, I think, what's happening with crypto, with Bitcoin and the complex. But it does definitely look weak. I put in a buy order in today, a little bit lower. I think technically at 54K equivalent to BTC. I did it through iBit. But anyway, similar charts for all these, more or less. What do you do with it here? So what I meant to say earlier with it being similar to Mexico, back with the drama of the voting, is just saying, this should mean revert. This should mean revert. This should mean revert. I have this going to 21.75, any day now. But it's tough. I mean, today was technically a flat session, but it's at 12.5% over the past week. At 21.75 or a $2 rip would be 10%. So that would be a huge move. Don't know if it's happening here. You don't like to see 6 month lows. That typically brings on new lows in terms of momentum, but that's an important level. Still rising 200-day moving average. I like it. You can dollar cost average. If you don't have any Bitcoin position, you're able to stomach pain. I don't think here is a bad area to nibble. All right, second best trade of the week, Nat Gas, down a bit less than Bitcoin, down 9%. And this is what you have to do with portfolios. You need shorts. Everything, is not all-time highs with tech, semis, India, S&P. There are areas. So look at the heaviness of this chart. My goodness, this black line is Dikembe Mutombo. You are not getting above that anytime soon. Nat gas looks particularly weak. It's up today, 1 2/3%. Now what? I think it's exhausted itself a little bit here to the downside. I think it actually is potentially in motion. It's mean reversion rally towards 18. Let me zoom in. Let me see here. Yeah, that'd be a nice. I hate counter trading. It's a piece of crap, but it trades pretty well sometimes technically. Yeah, I think it begins its ascent towards 18, which would be a nice $2 move. That's greater than 10%. Today it's up 1.7. I don't know. It could do it. I think it wants to get towards like the 1780 marker. It was just there last week, so that is there. The second biggest loser of the week, going back 5 days. It's funny, and then you have to go all the way down to the third spot. The third biggest loser, way back at just 2.7% loss. Home construction. So they're battling with the rates story, right? So let's take a look at this. ITB used to be an amazing story, and now just not as much. Still looks good. We looked at this, I believe, last week when it was on this loser list, and we love the area of the 200-day moving average. Again, you can get some fake outs. The 200-day moving average for this is 97.66. I think that holds. It had a little bit of flirting with it there, and then it popped above. The 52-week highs for this was back in March. Don't love that momentum. I think, all that being said, this is going to pop. Not pop. I think this moves towards 101 over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Don't love the story overall. Looks a little bit heavy, but I do think it moves towards 101 over the next couple of weeks. Again, just today, up a dollar. But yeah, it's on. We're talking about today because it's on the loser list. I think this could be a source of dollars. That's what I'm talking about. The broadening. So get light on commodities. What's been the themes? Get light on commodities. You can add a little bit of crypto. You can add to home construction. So stay long Mag 7, even though it's rich. Get better entries later. So it's a broadening market. It's not just a handful of stocks, even though we are highlighting the Mag 7. All right, Hong Kong. We already looked at that before on the down list. But Hong Kong, the the fourth biggest loser, down 2.5% in the past week. And then lastly, the regional banks down 2% in the past 5 days. Not terrible, but like I said, a lot of things are rising. Tides lift a lot of ships, as they say. So this story looks not so swell. This peaked December 14th, long time ago. It does have a rising 200-day moving average, albeit very faint. I think so. This is going to straddle, I think, this 47.20, which is its 200-day moving average. I have this on a couple charts, actually. I do think it's in distribution mode, which means I see a little bit of sell-off here going towards 45, like 45.30, right around here. Maybe even you get a little vol expansion, you get this a little bit lower, and it goes maybe just to new lows. Maybe I actually don't think it goes that low. I don't think it scares people and goes to that, but it's something I'm prepared for. So that's regional banks. All right, so best 3 absolute trades of the past 5 days. Seems like a lot of recap. Short Bito, short nat gas, long the Mag 7. That's what's been dominating. We see some changes. We see some continuation. Let's see what happens. Really, also just want to know, almost record low volume, beyond the lowest in more than 2 years on SPY. Q actually traded more than SPY today. All right, we will see you, I believe, on Wednesday. See you next time. Rocky, you want to say bye? He does not.